Hello, thank you for joining me for part 2 of our chat with Rick ZL3RIK. Now in my first video, I'll put a link up here and you can have a look at that a little bit later on. Also a link down in the description. We chatted about Rick's aspirations towards DX and a few things like that, and how keen he is on working DX. And but in this second part 2, we change tack a little and we start talking about some of the other interests that Rick has, more specifically some of the SOTA exploits that he gets up to from time to time. Yeah, Rick's involved in a bit of SOTA as well, climbing around the top of these mountains with ZL3RIK on the odd occasion, and quite often I work Rick from various mountains around New Zealand. So I tell you what, yeah, pull up that chair again, grab that cup of coffee. Let's go and talk to Rick again about his further exploits in ham radio, shall we? Now, I know for a fact that you're interested in this crazy thing called SOTA, right? Summits on the Air.
Oh.
Now, what are you doing climbing around mountains? Come on, tell me.
Well, I've only had my licence since 2017.
Oh, okay, right.
And
well, I've got a good few years on you. I've had one for 50 years now, so
I don't think I'm going to get to that stage. But there were these guys that are calling CQ SOTA, and I heard people, on our local repeaters, you go to 146500, Joe Bloggs is up there. Oh, yeah, righto. Well, I'll answer him. I don't know why I was answering him, but he seemed happy. And eventually I got to meet, who is now Silent Key, ZL3 Charlie.
Right.
Late Andrew White.
Yes.
And emailed backwards and forwards, and he told me this is what to do to chase. You register and that. So that went on for a wee while. And I seem to be getting the same ZL3s a lot of the time. So anyway, this particular ZL3, Golf Alpha, was up on one of our local summits, and I thought, oh, well, I'll go up there and meet this guy and just see what makes them tick. Well, that started a good friendship and encouragement for me to go up.
Right.
And so I duly went up on this very same one and made lots of mistakes and didn't know what I was doing, but it went on from there. Right. And just in the last Waitangi weekend, 2021, I went down to Queenstown, met another couple of very avid activators, Chris, ZL3RIK.
ZL4, I'll be meeting up with Chris in a few times.
You're in for a treat. He's got a similar sense of humour to mine.
Oh dear.
And I got down there. I'd already contacted or rung Chris and said, well, I'm going to be down there. I'm staying at so and so, thinking, well, he might pop round and just say g'day. And anyway, I let him know, I'm here. And the next day he said, oh, you're going up to Mount Candrona. He says, I'll come along with you. I said, Chris, but you've already done it. You won't get any points, Yeah. He says, no, I'll come with you. Well, Chris, we call him the Energizer Bunny. He's a radio runner because he does run, and I was a bit worried. But he just went along at my pace. It took us about 2 hours to get from the gondola up to the where we were doing.
Right.
We stopped for a rest on the way. Officially it was to admire the view, but he was very, very informative on local summits, and that's such and such a summit over there, and that's another one over there, and
brilliant.
And he went and videoed the whole thing. So
great, good on him.
It showed me for warts and all, and I was very, very pleased to
that's
have
the
him
way
as a dual activator.
Right, well, that's the way it goes. And of course, of course, with any SOTA operation, you do need the chasers to make it an operation anyway, don't you? So,
We'd be lost without chasers.
yeah, the activators are one thing. The activators, for those that don't know about the SOTA program, the activators are the guys that climb the mountains, put on a mountain, and every mountain has its own designator. The chasers, similar to myself, will come up behind these guys, give out a few numbers, and hold a QSO. So every QSO with a different chaser gives you a series of points, and that goes towards various awards. So a SOTA operation would not be a SOTA operation without the activators on one hand, and also without the chasers on the other. So that's how I've come to know Rick and several other SOTA operators around New Zealand. Anyway, hey, from a chaser point of view, thanks for putting on some of these summits for us. I mean, it wouldn't be a summit, summits on the air without you, right?
The feeling's mutual the other way around. You know, we get on to HF and we mop up on 2 metres our locals because they're our bread and butter.
Yes.
And then we'll get on to HF. We'll spot.
How many QSOs do you have to have from a location to make it a valid activation?
We have to have 4 QSOs with a signal report. They get the summit number reference, and then 73, and then we move on.
Any mode?
Any mode you like. In actual fact, just this very last weekend, for the first time in New Zealand anyway, they did slow scan TV.
You really?
That was...
it makes a difference, doesn't it?
I can't do slow scan. I don't have the capabilities. But Jeff was up there. He got... Steve, Bill, Gavin on slow scan. And man, that was a first. I'm going to rush up and do FT8 at some stage. That'll put the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yes, indeed. So any mode and so on, you're primarily single sideband, aren't you?
Primarily single sideband. I will chase and pounce on CW, but if I'm doing CW, I should be wearing the butcher's apron and hat.
Here we go. Yeah, and that's no problem at all. I mean, CW is for some people, it's not for others, but it's a great mode when things are getting tough. One of the big problems, I live up in the far north of New Zealand, in Auckland. That's in the North Island. Currently, I'm right down the south in the South Island at
good old Christchurch.
And the problem is with the South Island activation on a summit, often on 40 metres, signals just go straight over us at Auckland, and we very rarely, it's really difficult to get a QSO on 40. 20 metres seems to be okay, but 40 is a problem. So CW is really good from a point of view of Auckland. Also, I suffer a S5, S6 noise level all the time, Rick, and it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, and we're just using 10 watts. Some of them will go up higher. If I do a drive up, I'll take the 897, which will give me 100 watts, but the batteries don't last very long on that. As I use a KX2, which is 10 watts, the other craft.
Okay, let's have a talk about the gear you use then. So in general, if it's a walk up type thing where you want to keep your pack load down to a minimum, I guess would be the idea. So you use the Aircraft KX2, yeah?
Yes, yep.
And what antennas do you use?
I have an assortment. If I know the summit and there's plenty of room, I will possibly take a non-resonant long wire will cover from 80 through to 10 metres. If the summit is, some of them are very, very small, I will take a 40 to 10 metre random length, because the KX2 will tune it, the internal tuner. But if I've got a ton of room, I will take up the 80 metre centre fed inverted V, and once again the Alacraft will tune that up to whatever band I want.
I guess you don't get a lot of height at a summit from the point of view of getting the antenna high off the ground. So I guess an 80 metre inverted V relatively close to the ground will give you Nevis type propagation anyway, doesn't it?
If it's close, I have experimented with a drive up taking up a 10 metre aluminium flagpole. Though I'd never be able to carry it up, and I used that once, but the V was getting very narrow. It was a cloud warmer.
Right.
And I didn't have the success. I went down to the bottom, and this is at Lake Tekapa. I went down to the bottom, and I just saw that Warren ZL3RIK had just spotted. So I just pulled over the side of the road, found a fence, and put up a 2040 link dipole, set it up onto 40, bang, 5.9 both ways. So
brilliant.
You can use whatever antenna you like. If the propagation's not there, it's not going to work.
Right. So that's the KX2, and then that would be the one that you take up, I guess, on the majority of times when you're climbing up a fairly, fairly rugged sort of mountain.
The 2040 link dipole,
right.
And I will also take up the 60. Which
now, what about battery power though? How do you got to run this thing? You got to cart some batteries with you too.
I use lipos.
Yes.
They originally designed as jump starts for cars. Now there's people use all different ones, but I find that with using the Alacraft, I can get about 4 to 5 activations out of one battery.
Right.
And I've got about 3 of them.
Right. And they're fairly light to carry too, aren't they? Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, my pack fully with the gear is around about 6 kilograms, plus water can add on to that, or perhaps a jacket or something like that.
Yeah.
Some of them carry up to about 10 kilograms. That's not for me.
Right.
Not at 72.
We'll leave that to young bucks like Chris.
Well, his is actually lighter than mine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good on him. We'll
I hope he shows you his gear.
Yeah, we'll find out about that one for sure. Now, a drive-up activation then, I take it you still have to use, you can't use your car battery, can you? Or anything to do with your car. You
should be able to drive your car away and still keep transmitting.
Right, okay.
Or someone else drive your car away.
Right, yeah. Under those circumstances, of course, you can take a little bit more with you, and so now you got extra battery power, and you run your, what was it? The
FT897.
Right, and that'll give you 100 watts.
That'll give me 100 watts. My aerials will take it. The only thing is, I have a Slim Jim, which I use on the handheld, and that's 5 watts. It will take up to about 15 to 25 watts. But if I take the 897, I take what I call a fat Jim up. It's a homemade, it's made out of speaker wires, and that'll take 50 watts, no trouble at all. Right. Because I connect the 897 to the 2 meters and the HF.
Brilliant. Oh, you're well set up then for SOTA, aren't you?
There's always room for improvement.
Yes. Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting Rick with me on these last couple of videos. If you enjoy these videos, meeting different amateur radio operators around New Zealand, please subscribe down below and ring the little bell. That way you'll be notified when I get to meet my next ZL operator, and you can come along and join as well. So until then, please take care.